Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut invent the image of her royal power. The necessity of a diachronic approach. Both addressed issues, namely the masculine iconography of Hatshepsut during most of her reign, and her relationship with Thutmose III on a political level, need to be considered from a diachronic point of view. It is indeed clearly indisputable that the official image of King Hatshepsut evolved from a purely female iconography to a definitely masculine one. There is, of course, not a single doubt about the actual femininity of the queen, who was married to the male King Thutmose II and gave birth to their daughter, Princess Neferura. She started her kingly career as a female sovereign, consistently and systematically depicted and referred to as a female sovereign, with royal titulary and traditional regalia, but also with female dress and anatomy, whereas on every late monument of her reign and, in fact, on the majority of her royal productions, she appeared as a male pharaoh, with no more iconographical hint of her sexual identity, and mixed feminine and masculine titles, epithets, and pronouns. Her statuary evolved gradually in the sense of a progressive and irreversible masculinization, and the same holds true for two-dimensional representations. For instance, in the sanctuary of her temple of millions of years at Deir el-Bahari. That is, in the earliest decorated part of this monument, a set of reliefs depicted the queen as Pharaoh Matkara, in full regalia, including the royal kilt and consequently a beret chest, and with a merely elusively feminine anatomy, with slender arms and legs and a faint, but nonetheless still perceptible female breast, all painted in pink like light ochre, so a tone halfway between the traditional yellow for women and red for men. Later on, those figures were repainted in dark red. Probably during Hatshepsut's own reign, such slender androgynous images of the reigning queen are also visible in the relief decoration of the Temple of Buin in Nubia. But here, in at least two cases, they were clearly recut from older female depictions wearing dresses, though with unusually elongated stride, and wherever it has been possible to identify representations of Hatshepsut altered by herself during her own reign, the modifications always go in the same direction, from a female figure toward a masculinized iconography, and never the other way around. Moreover, this evolution from female to male is only one aspect, indubitably the most obvious one of a global iconographical metamorphosis that involved a very patent and absolutely systematic physiognomic evolution, attested on different types of statues of various kinds of material and sizes, as well as on two-dimensional representations. Regarding the political relationship between Hatshepsut and Thutmose III, as Tita wrote, in the course of the last half-century, many historians have painted the queen with a brush evoking images of a wicked stepmother, and an overly ambitious, scheming woman who took advantage of the youth of her royal nephew. Nowadays, this historiographic trend seems to be reversed, and there is a clear tendency to focus on, or at least to stress the politically correct attitude of the reigning queen, her young nephew and corgent. The main argument used to support this new conception of the relationship between Hatshepsut and Thutmose III is the fact that on monuments of the time they frequently appear together as twin male rulers distinguished only by position. Hatshepsut usually takes precedence, or, occasionally, by regalia if we just consider this purely iconographical issue. Without any assessment of the historical conclusions that are usually inferred from them, a few details need to be heeded. First of all, when both Khorgins are depicted together, Hatshepsut always precedes her nephew, even if he was chronologically the first king of the reigning couple, crowned almost 7 years before his aunt. During the Khorgency, in a sequence of ritual scenes, Thutmose III could, sporadically, appear alone in front of the gods in complementary, but inequitable distribution with Hatshepsut, but he was systematically excluded from images of strong political significance, such as coronation scenes, as he was from dedicatory inscriptions. Moreover, from a simply statistical point of view, she was depicted or referred to in monumental inscriptions much more often than her royal nephew, appearing in temple decoration approximately 4 times more frequently than her young Khorgin, and, therefore, fundamentally incarnating the image of the royal power of the time. As a matter of fact, even on a strictly iconographical level, the so-called sharing of kingship imagery, so much emphasized by commentators in the last years, was plainly more apparent than actual. But, above all, it is characteristic for the second and longest part of the Khorgency, and evidence from the first phase of Hatshepsut's reign clearly demonstrate that this was not the official image of the royal power when the regent queen decided to assume full kingship.